The strange part is not how grand the homes are. It is how carefully they disappear behind ordinary streets. In Palo Alto, power does not always rise above the skyline. Sometimes, it buys the houses next door. His first major Palo Alto home purchase came in 2011. Then the surrounding map began changing piece by piece. The original residence was not Versailles. Its significance came from location, timing, and what could be protected around it. By later reporting, the Palo Alto footprint reached at least 11 properties and more than $110 million in spending. For neighbors, the story was not only wealth, it was years of construction, security, and a changing sense of home. Construction is temporary for owners. For neighbors, it can become the rhythm by which a street remembers power. Some reported amenities sound playful, yet even leisure, inside these walls, becomes another expression of engineered privacy. Behind every famous address is a simpler human need: children, quiet, routine, and distance from being watched. The man who built a network for billions also built physical boundaries few outsiders could cross. Then, the story leaves Silicon Valley and reaches Kauai, where land is never just land. In 2014, Zuckerberg bought roughly 700 acres on Kauai, a purchase reported above $100 million. The controversy was not only about price, it touched older Hawaiian land rights, descendants, and the meaning of belonging. Quiet title lawsuits followed, then criticism, then withdrawal. The paperwork became louder than the walls around the estate. For some locals, the estate represented jobs and investment. For others, it sharpened an older fear, being priced out of memory. Later reporting described Kauai Ranch as roughly 1,400 acres, with costs exceeding $270 million including land purchases. At this scale, a home stops being a house. It becomes infrastructure: roads, energy, food, security, and silence. Planning documents cited by reporters described a 5,000 square foot underground shelter connected by tunnel to main residences. Reported plans included food and energy systems, turning domestic privacy into something closer to a self-contained world. Amenities reported for the ranch include athletic and wellness spaces, but the deeper luxury is choosing who can enter. When recreation moves behind thousands of acres, leisure becomes less about display and more about controlled disappearance. The more remote the property, the more complicated the systems become. Cameras, staff, gates, maintenance, and trust. Every private paradise has a public workforce behind it, moving through mud before the owner ever sees the morning. From Hawaii's red earth, the portfolio turns cold and blue. Lake Tahoe, where silence itself has a shoreline price. Zuckerberg bought Tahoe's Carousel estate in 2018 for about $22 million, then expanded next door. Reports place the combined Tahoe holdings around 10 acres, with roughly 600 feet of prime lakefront. Tahoe wealth feels older than tech wealth. Timber, stone, piers, winter light, and families who measure status in seasons. At Tahoe, reported rebuilding turned acquisition into transformation, replacing older structures with a larger private vision. For a public figure, a meal without observers may be worth more than the room that holds it. Across these homes, geography starts to look like strategy. One address for family, another for retreat, another for influence. In Washington, real estate speaks another language. It is less about escape and more about proximity. Reports identified a $23 million cash purchase of a 15,400 square foot Washington residence tied to his policy work. A Washington home can function like a private waiting room for power, where politics arrives without appearing public. For technology's most powerful executives, Washington has become a second operating system, slower, older, and impossible to ignore. The loudest influence rarely happens in a grand hall. Often, it waits quietly beside a prepared table. Then comes Miami, where privacy is not hidden behind trees. It is surrounded by water. Indian Creek is small, guarded, and famous for residents who prefer distance measured in gates and water. In 2026, reports named Zuckerberg and Chan as buyers of a $170 million Indian Creek estate. The reported mansion is still under construction, a reminder that extreme wealth often buys the future before it exists. A dock changes the meaning of a house. It gives privacy another exit and wealth another horizon. Reported plans included a library with a concealed passage, the kind of detail that turns architecture into personal theater. Miami adds warmth to the portfolio, but also something colder, a market where privacy is priced like rare art. Across several homes, the true luxury may be continuity, the same family life rebuilt in different climates. When private life absorbs school, work, security, and leisure, the boundary between home and institution begins to blur. Even immense private wealth must negotiate with ordinary civic language, permits, zoning, neighbors, and public patience. Reported neighbor gestures from gifts to quieter security vehicles reveal an old truth. Money can soften friction, not erase it. In a neighborhood, belonging is not only ownership, it is showing up when no transaction is required. Seen together, the homes form a private network across America: suburb, island, lake, capital, and guarded bay. The same instinct appears in both worlds: design the system, manage access, reduce unpredictability. For billionaires, privacy is not a mood. It is hardware, staffing, land, architecture, and law. At the highest level, possession often becomes subtraction. Fewer eyes, fewer interruptions, fewer chances for the world to enter. The wealthiest homes do not always announce technology. They bury it until comfort feels natural. Waterfront homes are valuable because they add movement. A shoreline is not scenery, it is optionality. The reality may be quieter. Family objects arranged inside layers of protection. Kauai complicates every property story because the island's beauty arrives with history that money cannot fully purchase. For longtime families, land can hold names, stories, and obligations that no listing brochure can translate. Privacy at this level is not isolation. It is employment, coordination, radios, cameras, schedules, and constant judgment. Silicon Valley turned code into fortunes, then turned those fortunes back into land, gates, and neighborhood tension. The larger the purchase, the quieter the ceremony. Contracts, attorneys, entities, and signatures instead of applause. A mansion's price is abstract. Its construction is concrete: stone, glass, heat, measurements, and people solving tiny problems. For a technology CEO, Washington is not a vacation address. It is a listening post near the machinery of consequence. Tahoe offers a different currency: mornings before tourists arrive, when the lake belongs only to weather and access. A street can look unchanged, while its social architecture has been completely rewritten. Owning many homes means owning many small emergencies before they happen: pipes, trees, sensors, storms, staff, and repairs. The most revealing luxury is sometimes ordinary: a garden, a routine, a morning protected from interruption. Behind the headlines are children whose lives require privacy before they could understand what privacy became news. Fame turns life into footage. Wealth tries to reclaim the right to leave the screen blank. Each place answers a different question: where to work, where to hide, where to prepare, where to breathe. The finest systems are rarely loud. They work quietly enough that only failure would make them visible. A portfolio like this is not managed by memory. It needs records, advisors, calendars, permits, and quiet bureaucracy. The island can make even a billionaire seem temporary. Mountains have a way of outlasting every deed. A seasonal home is not only a place. It is a calendar reserved in advance by wealth. It is being near the room before the room decides. Even after a record purchase, a house must still learn the rhythms of the people who will inhabit it. At some point, every estate must face the same test. Can it hold an ordinary evening? Most of what the public knows comes in fragments. The rest remains exactly where wealth wants it, off camera. A hedge looks natural only because someone is paid to keep nature disciplined. Multiple homes only make sense when movement itself has been simplified. No crowd, no waiting, no visible transition. A perfect pool at midnight can still feel lonely. Privacy protects, but it also separates. The more the world watches a person, the more valuable an unwatched room becomes. Every serene residence has a service side, where invisible labor keeps the illusion of effortlessness intact. After seeing the portfolio, the modest garden feels different. It is not small, it is defended. Different climates demand different materials. Different pressures demand different kinds of shelter. From above, even guarded wealth becomes small, islands of light in a much larger dark. Documents preserve ownership. Weather reminds everyone that possession is never the same thing as permanence. The most consequential choices may begin in rooms designed to leave almost no trace. Some gates protect privacy. Others ask a harder question. Who gets to belong behind them? At Tahoe, the house almost disappears. The lake keeps the grandeur for itself. The pattern is clear now. Not one mansion, but a geography of controlled access. Perhaps that is the real shape of modern wealth. Not being everywhere, but deciding exactly where the world stops.